What's up, cool people? I'm Matt Conroy. Welcome to another Top 10 Music Countdown. This time I'm going to be covering my favorite, songs that are about drugs, alcohol, addiction, that kind of stuff. You could maybe kind of try and tie it in with St. Patrick's Day if you want. That wasn't really the motivation behind it. It just kind of happened. But anyway, some of these songs, it's going to be a little bit debatable as to whether or not they're actually about drugs and addiction and that kind of stuff, but really if you read the lyrics a particular way, it's not too difficult to see how you could interpret it that way. But that is going to factor a little bit into the placements within this countdown, along with just how much I like the song and all that. So that pretty much covers it in terms of how I went about sorting these. Of course, one song per band, that should be obvious. I guess that's all you really need to know going into this, so here we go. Here are my top 10 songs that are about drugs, alcohol, and addiction, because I don't really have a better way to sum up the entirety of it.
I've been infected with the latest disease, an epidemic that's infecting the weak. It doesn't matter how I bleed, because you can't escape it.
So as I said, a couple of these early ones, it's going to be a little bit debatable as to how much they're about drugs, addiction, that kind of stuff. But this one, I mean, you could kind of read it that way because a lot of the stuff it talks about is kind of the general mindsets and things that happen when someone is addicted. But you could also just interpret this as, sin and just having a problem with sinning. So that's why it's on here at number 10. And Brompton Cocktail is a little more obvious of a choice for this list, even just given the title. It also talks about needing a shot of something and just all the different descriptions that it gives of, like, even just trying to kind of escape the current reality and also not being able to feel your face and different things like that. So yeah, the theme is a lot more obvious.
Away from everybody, break away from everything. If you can't stand the way this place is, take yourself to higher places.
Meanwhile, Break is somewhat more debatable as to its theme, but if you read it with the lens of drugs and addiction and that kind of stuff, it's not too hard to see how it fits, because it talks about not being able to give it up, feeling like a vampire, just trying to get higher as well. So yeah, not that hard to see how it could be about drugs and addiction and things like that.
So bring me to Pina Coladas. I want one for each head. Let's set the sail with Captain Morgan.
Since I'm including alcohol in the mix, I figure it's, all kinds of likely that a country song would show up here. There are a lot of country songs that involve alcohol, to be honest. It was a tough choice on this one between two Pina Coladas and Beer Run, both from Garth Brooks, but I figured this one kind of focuses a little bit more on, like, the drink itself and trying to, relieve pain and stuff like that, rather than just, going out and having fun. So, yeah, that's what got this song on the list over Beer Run from Garth Brooks. Okay, so if you know much of anything about marijuana, it doesn't even take like 10 seconds into this song before you figured out that's what this song is about. And just all sorts of references all throughout it. Heck, the intro is just like the sounds of people smoking this giant water pipe thing. So, yeah, not to mention taking puffs from the leaves of the devil. It says that outright in the lyrics. So, again, really obvious choice for this list.
I can't breathe, so give me the drug. Keep me alive. Give me what's left of my life. Let me go.
So now we've reached the point in the video where it really comes down a little bit more so to my preference and how much I like the songs themselves rather than just how they fit thematically. In this one, I really just kind of like how fast-paced it is and how it almost adds to the feeling of desperation within the song for needing something to feel anything, to feel alive especially. But yeah, just that desperation feeling, I think, is what's so prevalent in this song and why it gets on the list.
Cold addiction rising up inside, white lines cover the mirror, all the voices screaming in my mind, I wanna get out of here.
So we're clear, I'm not in favor of drugs and alcohol and addiction and things like that. That's why I have this song and songs like it in the mix that talk about wanting to get out of that feeling of being trapped or of just not being able to stop whatever it is, and that whole just feeling of addiction, period. That's why I kind of wanted that as the overarching theme throughout this countdown, and that's what gets this song on here.
I tightly lock the door. I try to catch my breath again.
So there's a reason I highlighted that specific line from Breaking the Habit, because otherwise it's hard to really know for sure that this song is about any kind of drugs or addiction or anything like that. But when you're talking about having a particular substance or thing, even just a certain item or habit that feels like your escape, like your cure for fixing things, that's really a sign of addiction in my mind. So that's what gets Breaking the Habit on this list.
Lithium, don't wanna lock me up inside lithium.
So now we have the song Lithium from Evanescence, and this one is high on the list both because of how obvious it is that it's related to drugs. I mean, come on, lithium, it's in the title. But also just the way it approaches it and the theme of it, just that feeling of being trapped that I really kind of wanted to highlight with this. It's like, especially in this song, it talks about, you know, wanting that feeling, but also wanting to get out of that feeling and that struggle and that tension that I think is so common and prevalent with drug addiction and things like that.
And now, before we get to number one on this list, here are some honorable mentions.
I just can't lie, it's the speed and the sound that I'm dying to try. I just can't lie, it's the love of the chase that created the ride. You're better than drugs, your love is like wine. Feel you coming on so fast, feel you coming to get me high. Tell me what you know, tell me what you've done and done. Now we're gonna do the trick, get it over with. You're better off to take all that you got and put it on the spot just to get high.
And now, to really hammer my point home, I have Just to Get High from Nickelback, which just really, I think, is a good description of how potentially damaging drug addiction can be to someone's life. It talks about how this guy is like giving up food and sleep and having to steal stuff and hurt people just to get that high again. And that's really, you know, the not being in favor of drugs, really trying to point out the bad stuff is what I was going for with this. So that's really what gets Just to Get High at number one on this list. And that's going to do it for this list. As always, like, share, subscribe, click the bell, check the notification box, do everything you can. Just look at the description to see different ways to keep up with me and my videos and interact. Leave comments down below with your thoughts on songs about drugs and alcohol and addiction, songs that you like, songs that you don't like, or just different ideas for other countdowns I can do. But that's going to do it for this time around. I hope you're all doing well, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Stay cool, people.